All right, so this is week 3, day 2 writing. And this is very quick because the writing is right up here. If you need an example of what to write for your introduction, you are more than welcome to copy this paragraph down here. I understand that a lot of us for writing is very difficult. So at least practicing the handwriting, the fluency, spelling correctly, capitalization. There's so much that goes on into a piece. I totally understand. But for your introduction, I took the words that were from my day before. So I got out my day 1 writing and I looked at my picture and I thought about what would I tell somebody about the setting. So it says that tells about the main character in the setting of the story. And so I looked at this picture and this is what I wrote. It was that time of year again, my favorite time of year. My class and I were headed to Wallowa Lake for the annual outdoor school adventure. The mornings this should be were because we're using past tense. The mornings were still cool, leaving a heavy dew on the tents and a crisp feeling in the air. But the afternoons are full of sunshine and adventure in the hills and by the lake. So that's a really long sentence. If I wanted to, I could break it up and put a period here and cross out and make this a capital. I think I'll do that. A crisp feeling in the air, but the afternoons are full of sunshine and adventure in the hills and by the lake. But nothing beats the evenings around the campfire with stories about our day and our bellies full of great food and treats right before bundling up in my toasty sleeping bag, ready to start flashlight stories. So what I would do is if you were stuck and didn't know what to write, or you can start your paragraph out here. I'm going to just take this and copy this story down here. Now, if you don't, if you don't have a story, I talk about my character, which is me in my class. Notice how I don't mention every single student, I just mention the class. And I'm not talking too much about everything about me as the teacher, and I haven't clarified that yet, but I will bring that up later. So I would start by indenting. It was that time of year again. And I put the ... and then put all capitals because it's my story and I want to get across the idea that this is my favorite time of year. Exclamation point. Times 2. I just put 1. And then I could skip lines, but I didn't because I'm just trying to be within the lines. My capitals should almost touch the second line, and my lowercase should be about halfway. My class, and I. Please make sure those are capital I's. Any I like this that stands alone needs to be a capital. Were headed Wallowa Lake. For the annual outdoor school adventure. I've never actually been to Wallowa Lake without my class, and my goal is to go in the summer, and it ends up being booked so often I haven't been able to go. The mornings were full, or were still, cool, leaving a heavy dew. And not D-O, like do my homework for me, but D-E-W, like the moisture, on the tents. And I'm going to put a period here. The mornings were still cool, leaving a heavy dew on the tents. Oh, I forgot. I didn't want to do that. And I erased that period. And the air was crisp. Oops, got my S. Now I'm going to put a period there, and then put the afternoons were full of sunshine and adventure. In the hills. We go on lots of hikes. Hills and by the lake. Now your goal is to have 3 to 6 sentences. So if you were going for 3 and you didn't want to add any more, you really could stop right about here. Because we've talked about who our characters are and we've talked about where we're at. But I would like to have the more telling story by using 6 sentences. So I'm going to add this last part. But nothing beats the evenings around the campfire with stories of our day but nothing beats the evenings around the campfire with stories around our day, a belly full of food, and a sweet treat right before bundling up in my toasty sleeping bag ready to start flashlight stories. I usually actually listen to people because I am kind of afraid of things, so I don't tell that many scary stories. But actually, I do more listening. So anyway, so now I'll read this over again, and that's another thing that's critical. Make sure as you're reading you have your capitals and your end marks. So my last reading before this is done. It was that time of year again, my favorite time of year. My class and I were headed out to Wallowa Lake for the annual outdoor school adventure. The mornings were still cool and a heavy dew on the tents, leaving a heavy dew on the tents, and the air was crisp. The afternoons were full of sunshine and adventure in the hills and by the lake. but nothing beats the evenings around the campfire with stories of our day, a belly full of food, and a sweet treat right before bundling up in my toasty sleeping bag, ready to start flashlight stories. So I have my paper. Again, encourage you guys to go through and just double check for capitals and end marks, and then see, like this one is a very long, I shouldn't say very, but is a longer sentence. So I have one capital there and a period. And every time I say I, it should be capitalized as well. And make sure if you use the name of a place, it's capitalized just like that. All right, so I'm good to go. Now it says 10 points total for my paragraph. I would read it maybe to a friend, and I will have you read these to me. So this will get read to me. Every paragraph you write will be read to me within your Zoom group. So make sure you have this ready to go. Even if it's reading what I wrote, maybe you changed it up, maybe you shortened some words, maybe you shortened some sentences, but your job is to read this to me. All right, have a great day.